Hi everyone, look at this gorgeous lemon loaf. Today I'm showing you how to make the most incredible moist lemon loaf that's bursting with fresh citrus flavor. This recipe is a total winner and I'm excited to walk you through every step. So let's get baking. So here are all the ingredients we'll need today. We have all-purpose flour, my sweetener of choice, always monk fruit sweetener, but if you don't have it, you have sugar, use it instead, baking powder, salt for our dry ingredients. For the wet ingredients, I have eggs, cooking oil, and this beautiful lemon puree that I made fresh. The lemon puree is really the star here. It gives this loaf the most amazing it tastes lemon flavor. Alright, first things first. Let me show you how I set up for measuring. I like to have everything organized before I start mixing. It just makes the whole process so much smoother. I am measuring my all-purpose flour using a kitchen scale today because baking is really all about precision. Using a scale ensures we get the exact amount every time, which means consistent results. No more guessing or worrying about whether you've packed the flour too much or too little. I'm just placing my bowl on the scale, zeroing it out and adding the flour until I hit the right measurement. Perfect. That's our flour sorted. Next up is the sweetener. Again, I'm using my trusty scale to measure these out precisely, just zeroing it out and then adding the sweetener until we are right on target. And there we go, sweet perfection. Now, let me grab my measuring spoons. Can I just say, I had always wanted magnetic measuring spoons. You know, the one that stick together neatly in your drawer. I had eyed a set on Amazon for the longest time, but I was lucky enough to land a set from DIY the Jojo on Instagram. Alright, grabbing a teaspoon for the salt first, just a little sprinkle, and that's perfect. Now to the baking powder. I should mention, I'm actually doubling this recipe today, so you'll see me adding quite a few teaspoons of baking powder here. So don't be alarmed by the amount. When you double a recipe, you double everything, including the leavening agent. This is what's going to give our loaf that beautiful rise and fluffy texture. There we go, all measured out. Time to remove the scale and grab my whisk. I'm going to combine all these dry ingredients together, the flour, the sweetener, the baking powder, and the salt. We want to whisk thoroughly to make sure the baking powder is evenly distributed throughout. This ensures our loaves rise evenly. Look at that, everything is beautifully combined. If you want the detailed recipe with the exact measurements, it's up on my website with the link in the description box down below. Perfect, our dry ingredients are ready. Now for the eggs. I have quite a few eggs to crack. Since we are doubling the recipe, let me show you a hack that has saved me so many times. I have a bowl with the eggs here and I'm cracking them one by one into this small bowl first before adding them to the bigger bowl. This might seem like an extra step, but trust me, it's worth it. If you accidentally get a bit of shell or heaven forbid a bad egg, you haven't ruined your entire batch of wet ingredients. It's such a simple trick, but it prevents potential tears when you're working with many eggs. Nobody wants to fish out eggshells from a bowl full of ingredients. One egg at a time, crack, check, pour it into the big bowl, crack, check, pour. There's something satisfying about this process, isn't there? Almost there. Just a couple more to go and all perfect. All eggs are cracked and looking beautiful. All we need to do now is just whisk them before we add the other ingredients. Now, I'm measuring out the cooking oil and adding it in right into the bowl with the eggs. The oil is what keeps our loaf incredibly moist. And now for the star ingredient, the lemon puree. Look at that gorgeous color. I'm pouring this in. Oh my goodness. It was almost overflowing. We are living dangerously here, folks. Note to self, maybe use a bigger bowl next time, but we made it. Everything's in there without any spills. Success! Time to bring in all ingredients. I'm adding the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. Now, here's the key. We want to mix gently with our spatula, no over mixing. We are just folding everything together until we can't see any more dry flour. A few lumps are totally fine. This gentle mixing keeps our loaves tender and fluffy. Look at that beautiful butter coming together. That pale yellow color from the lemon is just gorgeous. Alright, before we pour this butter, let me show you something that used to drive me absolutely crazy. Lining a baking tin with parchment paper. Watch this. No matter how you try to place that parchment paper in the tin, it just refuses to cooperate. It pops up, it slides around, it's like it has a mind of its own. You press down one corner and another corner springs up, like it's mocking you. You try to smooth it down and it folds in weird places. It's like trying to gift wrap a present that doesn't want to be wrapped. Seriously, look at this rebellion. The parchment paper is basically saying, I don't want to be in this thing today. You flatten one side, the other side escapes. It's the most stubborn thing ever. I used to spend ages fighting this parchment paper, getting more and more frustrated. But then I discovered this absolute game-changing hack, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Here's what you do. Take your parchment paper and run it under water. Yes, you had that right, water. Get it nice and wet. Now, this might seem counterintuitive, but watch what happens. The water makes the parchment paper pliable and soft. It's no longer stiff and stubborn, it's actually cooperative now. Look at this, it sits perfectly in the tin, molding to the shape of the corners and sides. No more popping up, no more sliding around, no more fighting. Just press it gently into place and it stays there like it's been glued down. The corners fold nicely, the sides lay flat. It's like magic. This has literally changed my baking life. No more wrestling with parchment paper. The wet parchment also clings to the tin just enough to stay in place while you pour your batter. And don't worry, the paper dries out in the oven and our baked goods don't get soggy at all. I promise this works perfectly. And there we go. Both tins are lined and looking perfect. That was so easy, wasn't it? Now I'm adding the batter between my two prepared baking tins, trying to keep it as even as possible. And there we go. Both tins are filled and ready. These are going into the preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius. We'll bake them for about 60 to 70 minutes or until they are golden brown and baked through. The exact time can vary depending on your oven, so we'll test them to make sure they are done. Now about the lemon puree, to make it, I simply take a whole lemon, wash it really well, chop it up roughly, blend it with a little bit of water on high speed until completely smooth. And then that is the puree we're gonna use to make our lemon loaf at any given point. Sometimes I do freeze it if I have extra lemons on hand. So this way you get all that incredible lemon flavor without losing any single piece of that lemon. It's such a game changer. Try it out and let me know how you do enjoy your loaf next time. And here they are. Look at the beautiful golden color. They've risen perfectly. Now for the test. I'm using a knife here instead of a skewer, inserting it right into the center and it comes out clean. That means they are perfectly baked. I'm placing them on a cooling rack to let them cool down a little bit. Once they have cooled for a few minutes, I'll remove them from the tins and place them on the rack. Oh, but wait, let me put a tray underneath first. This is going to catch any excess glaze later and make cleanup so much easier. I'm always thinking ahead. Time to make these loaves even more beautiful with a drizzle of glaze. The glaze recipe is on my website as well if you want the exact measurements, but it's just mixing icing sugar with a little bit of the lemon puree until I get a nice thick but pourable consistency. And now the most satisfying part, drizzling the glaze over the loaves. Look at how it's cascades down the sides, so pretty. I'm letting this glaze drip down naturally, and that tray underneath is catching all the excess. See, no mess on my counter. Now we need to let this cool completely so the glaze sets properly. I know it's tempting to cut into them right away, but please be patient. Patience is key. Alright, they are completely cooled, and now it's time to slice. I'm using my Tupperware bread knife for this. This knife is so fantastic for slicing baked goods. It cuts through cleanly without squashing or tearing the loaf. Look at the perfect slice. You can see how moist and tender the crumb is. The texture is just beautiful, and you can smell that gorgeous lemon aroma. Let me get a few more slices here. Each one is coming out perfectly. Now, here's the thing. We have 2 whole loaves here. And unless you have a crowd to feed, that's a lot of lemon loaf. So I'm just going to show you one of my favorite baking hacks. That is, bake once, enjoy twice. I'm taking one of these loaves and placing it in my Tupperware freezer safe container. This container is perfect because it's airtight and it prevents freezer burn and keeps the loaf fresh. I can store this in the freezer for up to 2 to 3 months. Whenever I'm craving lemon loaf, I just take it out, let it thaw at room temperature for a few hours, and it tastes just as fresh as the day I baked it. It's such a time saver, and it means you always have homemade baked goods ready to go whenever you're craving some. This is honestly one of my best baking tips. Double your recipe and freeze half. Future, you will be so grateful you did it. Also, it saves you on the electricity. For the loaf you're going to enjoy now, I'm storing it in my Tupperware Baker's Delight container. This is specifically designed to keep baked goods fresher for longer without refrigeration. The clever design allows just the right amount of air circulation while protecting the loaf from drying out. It's perfect for cakes, loaves, muffins, anything you want to keep on your counter and have ready to grab whenever you need a sweet treat. I'm placing the slices in here and they'll stay wonderfully fresh and moist for days. And there you have it, a stunning homemade lemon loaf with all my tips and tricks. You know me, I love giving you tips and tricks. Thank you so much for baking with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more delicious recipes. Don't forget to check out the full recipe on my website, link on the description down below. Until next time, happy baking!